Hello Leo, welcome to your weekly horoscope. This is for Leo suns and Leo risings, as well as progressed Leo suns and risings too. So let's jump into it, Leo. You guys are actually the only people so far who had your tarot cards jump out before I even got into the reading, and it was the World and the Five of Swords, and I actually thought that that was so relevant to the vibe that sort of you guys are pretty much in. I mean, obviously they're your cards, but it's really giving me this feeling that is really coming up for you this week, where it feels like maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck. Like, it feels to me like you guys almost, with this World coming out, like she looks so frazzled to me. This is the movie The Fifth Element. I have not seen it and I really need to, but it's like giving me this energy of feeling like you're sort of like stuck in your own little bubble, and it's like I just want to like break out and explore, especially because we have Lilith, South Node, Libra, third house. So it is really feeling, Leo, like it's a little bit like, oh my god, I feel like I've been in this place for a little bit too long. Itchy feet, that's sort of the words that I was getting. It's like I want to sort of explore, expand my horizons. It doesn't even have to be that you physically want to go anywhere, but it's really feeling like there's an expansion in your mind that really needs to come through. It's feeling like your energy feels slightly like stifled is sort of the energy that is coming up for you. With this Chiron in the 9th house that's had Mars move over it in the past week, I feel like there's a real like highlighting of how it feels like you're sort of like limited in certain aspects, maybe because of resources. With Uranus in the 10th in Taurus, you know, it's kind of like maybe you're not making as much money from your career as you were in the past. Maybe things are changing with the career. Maybe your industry is, you know, looking a little bit different because the entire world is looking different at the moment. So it's like there's a little bit of an emotional, I feel like an emotional attachment, maybe even emotional like worry that's coming through when it comes to whether you're going to be resourced enough to sort of still have the adventures I feel like that you want to have. It's feeling like the world is changing, and maybe that's a little bit difficult for you to, I don't want to say catch up with, but it feels like with Pluto now opposing you, it's kind of like, and in retrograde at the moment, still about to move back to Capricorn, but it's, you know, you've had a little taste of Pluto in your opposition now, and it's kind of like, holy shit, I feel like I'm going through my own sort of spiritual reckoning is the sort of vibe that I'm getting. And it feels like with this Sun and Venus Cazimi that we're having this week, with this powerful trine sextile over here to the North Node and this trine to the South Node, it's almost like you choosing between two worlds in a way, and it's like, do I go this way, do I go that way, or where can I meet maybe even a balance in the middle? And it feels like there's this need to maybe not jump into things, maybe not jump out of things, but to really open and sort of be receptive to what I think the universe has in, you know, to give you, with the 9th house being you know, so activated. It's almost like your beliefs directly are going to sort of propel you in this new sort of chapter that you're in, Leo. And it feels like if you're not in touch with why you believe certain things, maybe why you're moving in certain directions, you know, this almost feels like a cleansing of the palette and figuring out, why am I doing certain things, why am I moving in a certain direction, why do I feel stuck, why do I feel stifled, you know, with all this Gemini on the 11th, it's feeling like it's really, really important for you to connect with your friendship group that's close to you, you know. It maybe even feels like at the moment like your song was literally Gotcha, somebody that I used to know, and it's a little bit like maybe you're feeling very nostalgic at the moment with the South Node in Libra in the 3rd house, and you're thinking about people that you used to be friends with or that you used to connect with. Maybe you even used to be a traveler, you used to go on adventures and you used to be able to, like, you know, do that stuff all really easily, and it feels like now it's like there's a little bit more of a difficulty. Obviously the world is how it is, and depending on where you're living in the world as well, it makes it more difficult or it makes it a little bit easier. So it feels like for you guys there's almost this realization that like things are just not the same anymore. You can't sort of go back into all the rooms that you used to go to be in, you know, and it's almost like that's a little bit hard of a pill to swallow. And so it feels like just don't get lost this week in this obsession with, you know, who you used to be friends with, you know, things like that. It's almost like needing to sort of expand into who's coming in now, who is the next sort of who's the next sort of identity that you can sort of build and create through your friendships in a way that is different to what you've known and seen of yourself. It's almost like you're needing to like shift up massively, and you guys have been going through massive shifts in your beliefs and in the way that you're, you know, your attitude and the way you're perceiving everything. And it feels like this Jupiter trine Pluto between your 11th and your 7th house is really highlighting relationships big time. And plus, because the sun is in a Cazimi, you know, in your 11th, it's really, really a time for you to be thinking about and to be communicating very much so in your relationships and connecting with, you know, the world. It feels like you can't sort of be hiding at the moment. And that's where I think maybe some of you guys are having a little bit of this sort of a difficulty with having Chiron and Mars having been in your 9th house over this past week. It's kind of like, am I ready to sort of go back out and be seen again and go on a different adventure than I've gone on before? It feels like it's doing something sort of differently. And the Five of Swords in the world is kind of a little bit like, maybe you feel a little bit like outcasted from the world, and like things are a little bit like, oh, I don't know, because, you know, Pluto moving into your 7th house in Aquarius, it's like, well, now all of a sudden I'm feeling like people aren't seeing me the same way. People are maybe even a little bit more aggressive towards me. There's just this real, like, maybe even an acceptance with you just a sort of being different. Like it's this weird sort of acceptance moment. I feel like you're being gifted with this, you know, seeing that, yeah, things are different, things have completely changed, and you're not seen the same as you were. You know, with Uranus being here, so much has happened, you know, right here in your 10th house lately, and you're going to have the moon make its conjunction this week with Uranus on a balsamic phase right before the new moon. So it's really like you seeing that things have changed basically in every way that they could when it comes to your relationships and your career and just who you are. It's like, it's feeling like you've sort of like, you've been maturing, Leo, and it feels like there's a little bit of like, I suppose this like attitude of like, well, okay, I'm like this version of myself now, and people like aren't fully accepting it, and there's almost like this badass attitude about it that's coming through. Like I'm getting like rebel without a cause type vibe, which is very Aquarius, but it's funny because it's coming up for you, Leo, which is probably because Pluto's in Aquarius opposing you and is in a retrograde. And he's coming back to Capricorn to sort of hit your 6th house again and say, look, okay, there are definitely still some things, some kinks that we're needing to work out around our health. You know, it feels like a cleaning up maybe even of your environment could really help you feel motivated. And it's, you know, it's almost like as well, maybe going on some adventures locally. Not having to always go so far, because the world isn't really set up for that anymore. We have learning with Sacred Ibis, so that's the thing. It's really about a time of you opening up and educating yourself. I feel like education is the doorway to this new reality that you're really like on. I feel like you're on the cusp of like a whole new sort of way of going about everything, especially with like all of this activation in your 9th house that's been going on, and this Cazimi that's going to be sextiling the North Node in your 9th house. It feels like your beliefs and the way you're willing to like open up and learn more and to study and sort of go on this like quest of finding out the truth, that's really going to bring you so much passion and zest, because you're going to feel like you have a direction. I feel like with Chiron being here and Mars having just moved over it in this past week before you watch this reading, it feels like, you know, there's this activation of you being really clearly shown that like you've maybe lacked a direction over the past few years. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, this is like me now being fully aware of where it is that I need to be going in this next chapter. We have equality with the seahorse, which is, you know, it's all about balance. It's giving me balance. It's giving me like equal give and take. I feel like with you guys, with Pluto being in your 7th house, it's like there is a huge transformation that is now happening in your relationships in every way, and you need to be having equal friendships, equal partnerships. You know, if you have siblings, things need to be equal. You can't be the one that's always picking up you know, everybody else's mess and that's always doing everything for everybody else. And 3rd house, you know, you could be the one that's always like picking up the shit after your siblings, you know, or, you know, you've just always sort of got to be there for everyone around you because people can't sort of take care of themselves. And so it's a time for you to be, you know, really, I'm hearing the word like sort of strong-minded, strong-willed. Just, you know, well, that's Aries too. Like, you guys really have this, like, you know, this is what I believe in, and this is the way I'm going with it, and it's this excitement, but it's also this opportunity and this willingness to like change your mind if you need to. I feel like with the Gemini energy to this Aries energy, it's very much like this beautiful push and pull in your mind that's saying, you know, well, actually I can expand into new modes of thought, and things don't need to be so rigid. We have the Vampire coming out, so that is feeling like there are some energies pulling on you. And like I said, with this Lilith third house, it's probably in your local environment. So it could be, you know, someone at work. It could be, like I said, a sibling, someone that you're living with, someone, maybe even just the town that you're in is starting to feel a little bit like chaotic. Things are feeling a little strange. So it's really a week where it's like being just very aware, I think, of those sorts of energies and what feels like it is draining you and what feels like it's too much. You know, it's really needing to be aware of where you're expending and where you're putting your energy, and how you can actually move forward in a way that isn't sort of like draining. You know, it's not draining you, it's actually sort of like filling up your life bars. I'm seeing like life bars like on a video game. The Vampire card says makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. So something is definitely pulling on your energy bars. It's like I'm seeing like literally like Fortnite sort of thing, and you need to like, not that I play that game, I've got no idea, but you know, actually The Sims, it's like go take your sim to the fucking toilet, go feed him. You need to do all that stuff. You need to be taking care of yourself and paying attention to things that are not, that just, you know, are for people's personal gain. That's the thing, because with Pluto trining Jupiter, it's like I feel like there's a lot of people pulling on you, there's a lot of people tugging on you. We have this Knight energy. It says loyalty, romance and chivalry, a love of honor. Shadow attributes is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principal romantic delusions. So that's the thing, Leo. You are a Leo, so you guys can get a little bit you can get a little bit like, you know, your heart is so big that you just give it to everyone. And so having Pluto in your 7th house now is really restructuring you in relationships, and it's saying there needs to be equal balance. There needs to be equal give and take. You cannot be the one that is constantly, you know, putting all the work in, putting all the effort in, doing all the work, doing all the study, making everything sort of work out. It feels like it's sort of frazzling you the more you're sort of trying to like put all the weight on your shoulders. And so it's about you at the moment with all this energy at the top of your chart. It's all really about you figuring out how you're going to be, you know, working towards a legacy and working towards a life that feels like it can really bring you expansion and joy and motivation, and you know, it doesn't feel so heavy. You know, it just felt like things have been really quite heavy for a while. You know, you got Saturn in the 8th house, you've got Neptune right on the cusp of your 8th house and going in towards your 9th, and it's about to retrograde. And so it feels like there's all those skeletons in the closet are still sort of like hanging around, they're still lurking around. Saturn's still sort of sitting here saying, can we be working through some of these darker things? Can we be working through some of these energies that are, you know, pulling on you without you sort of, it feels like with this Knight, it's like you're so courageous that you just want to love everybody, you know, you just want to be there for everybody. And this is about you having discernment that, you know, with Pluto, you need to be discerning with who you're giving your energy to. Some people just like literally are not worth the time. We have the Servant coming out. So, you know, you have to be diligent with who it is that you're serving. You can't just serve everyone. It says delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. Shadow attribute is using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. So it is about moving forward, and it is about not saying that, oh, I don't have the resources so I can't go on the adventure and do the thing. It's about you creating new ideas of what adventure even looks like to you in your life, you know? Having more fun. That's definitely something that's coming up too. The Eternal Child. It says determination to remain young in body, mind and spirit. Ability to see things with fresh eyes. Shadow attributes is inability to grow up and be responsible. Extreme dependency on others for physical security. So I feel like in some ways maybe you guys have people depending on you, or you guys are depending on others. Either way, it's feeling like there needs to be a balance between, you know, you just not having to be the savior all the time, and somebody not always having to be the savior for you. Justice is here, so it really is about you finding balance and being in, you know, being in equality, being in fairness. We have the Emperor. I mean, the Empress coming out. So, you know, you guys need to stand in your values, stand in your self-worth. You guys deserve to be taken care of. You guys deserve to be, you know, surrounded by resources, and you guys deserve to feel your best. It's, you know, I feel like at the moment there's a lot of people looking at you. You're very like vibrant with all of this in your 11th house. It's like a lot of people are looking to you. So it's like, of course there's going to be people that are uncomfortable with watching you sort of be in your own essence and to be, you know, so abundant. But you're a Leo. You're supposed to be that, you know. People are supposed to look at you and go, wow, that's just who you are. It literally is a part of your destiny. So if you're not going to sort of treat yourself as the Emperor or the Empress that you are, and you're not going to treat yourself with the respect, you can't expect other people to treat you like that either. So, you know, if people are pulling on you, well then it's time to look at your boundaries and whether you are setting enough of those boundaries with Saturn in the 8th house, you know. There's this moon that's going to be making its conjunction with Uranus, and it, you know, it's going to have moved across and made its sextile with Saturn. So it is an opportunity for you to see just how much potential for resource you have if you're willing to put up walls and boundaries where need be, and also tear down those walls and boundaries where you don't need them. It's about having discernment about where you need to, you know, put those walls up, and having discernment about where you need to let them down and all that sort of stuff, Leo. So, yep, that's all the cards we have for you, my loves. I hope that you enjoyed that reading. Make sure you listen to your channeled song as well. I actually forgot to channel it. I'll have to channel it after this. Whoopsie. Yeah, check out your channeled song, and I'll see you in the next reading, Leo. Peace.